For years, the motorcycle industry told you adventure riding meant heavy bikes and towering seat heights. 500 pounds before the fun even begins. That idea is wrong, and riders are finally pushing back. Lightweight bikes aren't a compromise anymore. In many cases, they're simply better. In this video, we're breaking down 11 lightweight adventure motorcycles you can buy right now. Real bikes that balance comfort, capability, and sanity without asking you to suffer for the image. Some are purpose-built adventure machines. A few are factory street-legal dual sports. And yes, that distinction is intentional. If you want an adventure bike that's easier to live with, simpler to ride, or more likely to get used instead of parked, you're in the right place. But before we do, if you like motorcycles that make sense in the real world, consider subscribing. This channel is built around that idea. Number 11. The one that reset expectations. This bike didn't sneak into the segment quietly. It arrived with serious intent, a long feature list, and pricing that made riders stop scrolling and start paying attention. For years, lightweight adventure meant compromises, cheap suspension, weak components, or bikes that only looked the part. This one challenged that idea the moment it showed up. That motorcycle is the CF Moto 450 MT. Once the name is out there, the reaction usually splits. Some riders are skeptical, others are curious. But spend time looking closer, and the reason it matters becomes clear. The parallel twin delivers usable, everyday power. The chassis feels balanced instead of top-heavy. Suspension travel and wheel sizes are chosen for real terrain, not showroom appeal. On pavement, it tracks calmly at speed. On gravel and rough roads, it doesn't feel overwhelmed or out of place. The riding position is neutral, the ergonomics are forgiving, and the electronics assist without taking over. Number 10. The one that brought reality back. This bike didn't arrive chasing trends or spec sheet victories. It showed up with a very different goal: make adventure riding feel practical again. Not extreme, not intimidating, just honest. For riders burned out on tall seats, excess weight, and complicated ownership, this machine felt like a reset rather than an escalation. This is the Royal Enfield Himalayan 450. What changed everything here is the engine. The new liquid-cooled single finally gives the Himalayan the power and flexibility riders wanted without sacrificing the bike's easygoing nature. It pulls cleanly, manages heat well, and feels comfortable at real-world touring speeds. The chassis remains stable, the suspension is compliant rather than harsh. On rough pavement and gravel roads, the bike feels predictable instead of nervous. Ergonomics are relaxed, visibility is good, and long hours don't feel like a test of endurance. It's not built to dominate terrain, it's built to keep you moving comfortably through it. What earns it this spot is focus. The Himalayan 450 doesn't try to impress everyone, it just works, and for many riders, that's exactly the point. Number 9. The one everyone tried to copy. This bike changed the tone of the lightweight adventure segment without making a lot of noise about it. Before it arrived, small ADV machines were either underpowered, under-equipped, or clearly compromised somewhere. This one showed that you could have modern tech, usable performance, and real versatility without stepping up to a much bigger platform. This is the KTM 390 Adventure. What sets it apart is balance. The engine delivers strong, responsive power without feeling frantic. The chassis stays composed on pavement, yet doesn't fall apart when the road turns rough. Electronics are there to support the ride, not dominate it, and the suspension feels tuned for mixed conditions rather than a single-use case. It's comfortable enough for long days, manageable at low speeds, and engaging when the road gets interesting. For many riders, this was the first small adventure bike that felt genuinely complete rather than almost there. That influence still shows today. Whether you love it or not, most bikes in this class are still responding to the standard it set. If you're enjoying this breakdown so far, hit like, subscribe for more real-world motorcycle content, and drop a comment. Which lightweight adventure bike do you think gets overlooked the most? Now let's move on to number 8, because this next one takes a very different approach. Number 8. The one that finally grew up. The Honda NX500 is what happens when a manufacturer listens instead of overcorrecting. The bike didn't need a reinvention, it needed refinement, and that's exactly what Honda delivered. Familiar, yes, but noticeably more resolved in ways that matter once the miles add up. The parallel twin engine is smooth, predictable, and perfectly suited to real-world riding. Power delivery is easy to manage, especially at touring speeds, and it never feels strained doing long highway stretches. The chassis feels planted without being dull, and the updated suspension gives it better composure on uneven pavement and gravel roads than its predecessor ever had. What makes the NX500 work is balance. Ergonomics are upright and relaxed, wind protection is effective without feeling bulky. The bike carries its weight low, which pays off at slow speeds and when the road surface turns questionable. It's not chasing extremes, and it doesn't pretend to be something it isn't. This is a motorcycle built for riders who want one bike to do a lot of things well. and keep doing them year after year without drama. Number 7. The one everyone forgot about. The Kawasaki Versys-X 300 is one of the most underestimated bikes in this entire category, and that's largely because it refuses to play the hype game. It doesn't look aggressive, it doesn't chase trends, it just quietly does what an entry-level adventure bike is supposed to do. The parallel twin engine is smooth, reliable, and happiest when it's covering distance. It'll cruise at highway speeds without feeling stressed, and it doesn't punish you with vibration or noise over long stretches. That calm character carries over to the chassis. The bike feels stable, predictable, and easy to manage, especially for riders who value confidence over excitement. Off pavement, it isn't pretending to be a dirt bike, but the long travel suspension, upright ergonomics, and 19-inch front wheel handle gravel roads and rough pavement without complaint. Fuel range is excellent, maintenance is simple, and long-term ownership tends to be uneventful in the best possible way. A quick clarification before we continue. Before we move on, it's worth addressing a few bikes that didn't make this list, especially if you watched the previous video. In our last lightweight adventure breakdown, we included the Yamaha Tenere 700. After reconsidering, we decided that while the Tenere 700 is an excellent motorcycle, it doesn't quite fit that lightweight means in practice. At over 450 pounds wet, it rides and demands commitment more like a midweight ADV, so we made the call to leave it out this time. The BMW F450 GS comes up for similar reasons, but in the opposite direction. It looks promising, but it isn't on sale yet. This list is limited to bikes you can actually buy today. The Honda CRF 300L Rally and Suzuki DR650S are often brought up in adventure conversations, but they're fundamentally dual sports. They're street legal, capable of long-distance travel, and widely used for adventure riding. However, they prioritize off-road simplicity over comfort, wind protection, and load-carrying ability. That's why they aren't classified as full ADV platforms here. With that cleared up, let's get back to the list, because the next picks take a noticeable step up in capability. Number 6. The one that took weight seriously. Someone at Aprilia asked a question most adventure bike teams seem to avoid for years. What if a mid-size ADV didn't feel mid-size at all? What if it handled more like a lightweight machine without giving up stability or range? The answer to that question became the Aprilia Tuareg 660. The parallel twin delivers smooth, usable power without spikes or surprises. It's comfortable at touring speeds and predictable when traction drops. Where the Tuareg really separates itself is balance. Weight sits low, steering stays neutral, and the suspension works with broken pavement and gravel instead of fighting it. The bike feels composed rather than busy, even when conditions change quickly. Ergonomics are upright and relaxed, with enough wind protection to support long days without isolating the rider. Electronics are present but restrained, tuned to assist rather than distract. This is an adventure bike designed around control and confidence instead of brute force, and that decision shows the moment the road stops cooperating. Number 5. The one that refused to be ignored. This bike didn't earn attention through marketing or nostalgia. It earned it by quietly filling a gap that a lot of manufacturers left wide open. Riders wanted a true adventure layout without jumping into heavyweight territory, and this machine answered that request with a focus on function instead of image. The result is the Kove 510X. Unlike rally-inspired or dual-sport platforms, this one is built around travel first. The wheel sizes, subframe, and ergonomics all point toward distance rather than competition. Power delivery is smooth and usable, tuned for steady progress instead of bursts of intensity. On pavement, it feels stable and settled. On gravel roads and rough pavement, it stays composed without demanding constant correction. What sets it apart is how clearly it's built to travel first. This isn't a dirt bike stretched for the road, or a street bike dressed for dirt. It's a purpose-built lightweight adventure motorcycle focused on balance, range, and real-world usability, exactly where many riders want this category to land. Number 4. The one that never needed to prove anything. The Suzuki V-Strom 650 has been quietly doing this longer than almost anything else in the lightweight adventure space. It doesn't chase trends, refresh cycles, or aggressive styling. It focuses on one thing, being dependable and easy to live with over serious mileage. The V-twin engine is smooth, underdressed, and proven across decades of ownership. It delivers usable power without heat issues or mechanical drama, which is exactly why so many of these bikes rack up high mileage with minimal fuss. On the road, it's stable and predictable. On rough pavement and gravel, The chassis stays composed instead of feeling overwhelmed. Ergonomics are upright and relaxed, making long days realistic without forcing constant adjustments. The suspension isn't flashy, but it works. And the bike remains balanced when loaded with luggage. It may not feel cutting edge, but it never feels fragile or demanding either. Before we keep going, this is where the list really tightens up. The remaining bikes aren't just lighter or easier to manage, they're the ones that still work when things don't go as planned. If you're still watching, stick around to the end, because the top spot isn't about hype or numbers. It's about which bikes you can actually count on when the road gets rough. Number 3. The one that chose dirt first. This bike sits right on the edge of two worlds, and it doesn't try to hide it. Instead of chasing comfort or complexity, it leans hard toward control and simplicity, even if that means giving a few things up along the way. This is the Honda CRF 300L Rally. It's technically a dual sport, but its range and reliability make it a common choice for lightweight adventure travel. Compared to full adventure bikes, it's lighter, narrower, and far easier to manage once traction drops. The single-cylinder engine is smooth and predictable, built for steady progress rather than speed. Suspension travel and wheel sizes favor dirt confidence first, which becomes obvious the moment pavement turns uneven. The Rally adds just enough fuel range and wind protection to make distance realistic, but comfort is never the priority. This bike is about staying upright, staying moving, and keeping things simple when the ride gets harder than expected. Number 2. The one that refused to get soft. The KTM 690 Enduro R exists for riders who care more about control than comfort and more about terrain than image. It's technically a dual sport, but its power, suspension, and real-world travel use put it squarely in the lightweight adventure conversation. This is one of the lightest bikes on this list with this level of performance, and that changes everything once conditions get difficult. The single-cylinder engine delivers serious torque without feeling fragile, and the chassis stays composed at speeds that overwhelm heavier machines. Suspension quality is a standout here. Controlled, confidence-inspiring, and built to take repeated hits without fading. On pavement, it's more capable than many expect. On gravel and rough roads, it feels completely at home. What you give up in wind protection and plush comfort, you gain back in precision and manageability. This bike doesn't try to make adventure easy, it makes it possible, especially when lighter weight matters more than anything else. Number 1. The one that got the formula right. The Royal Enfield Himalayan 450 earns the top spot because it finally delivers what this category has been missing for years: a genuinely lightweight adventure bike that feels complete, capable, and well thought out. The new liquid-cooled engine changes everything. It has enough power to cruise comfortably at highway speeds without stress, yet it remains smooth, predictable, and easy to manage when conditions deteriorate. The chassis feels balanced rather than top-heavy, and the suspension works with rough roads instead of punishing the rider for choosing them. What really separates it is restraint. The Himalayan 450 isn't chasing performance numbers or tech overload. Ergonomics are natural, weight is carried low, and the bike feels cooperative instead of demanding. You're not fighting mass, height, or complexity. You're just riding. This is what lightweight adventure looks like when it's designed around real use instead of marketing. Simple where it should be, capable where it matters, and easy to live with every single day. That's the list. 11 lightweight adventure bikes that prove you don't need more weight, more power, or more complexity to go farther and enjoy the ride. If this video helped you think differently about what kind of adventure bike actually makes sense, hit that like button. It truly helps the channel. Subscribe if you want more content like this one. And let me know in the comments, which bike would you pick? And which one do you think should have made the list? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.